and welcome back to the Beauty Lab podcast. I'm your host, Monina, and my co-host, Velia. Today, I am going to be interviewing her about a topic that I'm very, very curious about, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to know this information. So, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Welcome to the Beauty Lab podcast, your drive time resource for all things beauty, health, and wellness. We're your hosts and favorite beauty nerds, Monina and Velia.
Join us as we debunk myths, explore the latest trends, and dive deep into the science behind your favorite products. We'll interview industry experts and answer your burning beauty questions in 30 minutes or less. Question today is, why does it seem like some people can grow their hair really long and others can't? Now, I did notice, I didn't really know how long my hair could grow. So during COVID, I thought it was super interesting because I didn't go get a haircut, right, for however many months. And I didn't even pay attention. And then I look at pictures now from COVID. My hair was really long. I didn't know I could grow it that long, to be honest with you. So I'm just curious because I have friends, I have relatives that they cannot seem to grow past like your length, let's say, you know, no matter what they do. Like it will not grow. And so I'm just curious, like what causes people's hair to grow longer and others just can't seem to do that?
So you're totally right, first of all. There are some people who just, like this would be like their maximum length.
Okay.
And then there's other people that feel like they could grow their hair like down to the floor.
Okay.
First, I'm going to talk about the hair follicle and like the anatomy of a hair follicle, just so everyone's kind of caught up to speed. So the hair follicle, like when you pull a hair out and you see the little root of the hair.
Yeah.
Okay, so that used to live all the way down under your skin, and it was attached to a blood supply. Okay, so when your hair grows, it's because the blood flow is like all the nutrients and blood are flowing to that follicle and into the bulb, the very bottom, and into the root, and it's growing out healthy. Okay, so that stage, there's 3 different stages of hair growth, and there are the anagen, catagen, and telogen stage, and I'll talk a little bit about each of those.
Okay.
So the anagen stage of hair growth is the longest stage of hair growth, and that's when the hair is actually growing. So like the hair is born under the skin, and it grows for a period of time. That's the anagen stage. Some people's, and the anagen stage can range from 2 to 6 years. So some people's anagen stage, their growth stage, is only 2 years. And then some people is 6, and I think it's actually a little bit more than 6 sometimes. Okay. And so what that means is your hair grows about 6 inches a year. So if you think about your hair, that one strand of hair growing for 2 years, and that's when it stops growing. That's, you know, and then you think about someone else who can grow it for 6 years. Someone can, that same hair strand on somebody else can grow 3 times longer.
So it's called anagen, right?
The anagen
the
stage.
Anagen stage, there's a max length to where it's going to grow.
Right.
So,
exactly.
So it could stay, even if you're not cutting your hair for years and years and years, that's as long as that stage is going to be. Okay.
Exactly, because then I'll explain the other 2 stages, and then that'll probably make a little bit more sense.
Okay.
So the second stage is the catagen stage. So anagen's done, let's just say it's been 6 years, that one strand of hair is done growing. The catagen stage is the next stage it goes into. That lasts about 1 to 2 weeks. And that's just kind of like it's starting to detach underneath your skin from the blood supply. And that takes about, again, like 1 to 2 weeks. And then the next stage is the telogen stage. And that's when it actually is able to be like shed. So, and the telogen stage can last about 2 to 4 months. So if a hair sheds in the beginning of it, then, you know, it's probably going to be a couple months before a new hair starts growing out of that same follicle. So not all the follicles on our head are all in the same stage of life. Like the hair strands are not all in the same stage of life. Otherwise, we would all be bald. Every once in a while, every 2 to 6 years, we would all just be bald, and then we would all start growing hair back again.
Okay, so going backwards, so if the anagen stage, let's say 2-year mark, that's as long as it's gonna grow.
Yeah.
Then you're saying the next stage then goes into the catagen stage, and that lasts for a couple of weeks
and
or so.
you're never aware of when your hair is in these stages.
Right. But when it's moving into these last 2 stages, you're saying that's when it's like you go to wash your hair and all of a sudden it's coming out.
Yes.
Because those group of hairs are now in the last stage.
Exactly.
And now they're coming out and shedding. Okay.
And then a new hair grows in its place, kind of like a tooth.
Right.
So let's just use the 2-year mark. So if you're somebody who's like, really down on yourself because you've tried everything, you've bought every product, and you're like, I just cannot get my hair to grow past my shoulders. But you see all these ads for things that are like, grow your hair longer, blah blah blah.
Right.
It's not your fault. It's genetics. It's just it all kind of boils down to genetics.
To DNA.
Yeah.
Like what you were programmed to.
Exactly.
have.
And you know what? Sorry, you probably have really pretty eyes or something. Like you can't have it all, okay? Like that's pretty much how it is. Like you can't win them all.
Okay, so every strand of hair goes through these 3 phases.
Yes.
Is basically what it is. And that's true because even when I wax, we do talk about the 3 stages, but it's slightly different than growing hair.
Yes, because the anagen stage of like the hair on your arms, let's say, is obviously not 2 to 6 years. Because if it was, we'd all have arm hair, like a foot long arm hair. Yeah, exactly. So the hair on your head is the longest.
Okay.
Anagen has the longest anagen.
Longest anagen
stage.
phase. Wow. All right. And then of course genetics. Like you said, you can't change your genetics, so it's already predetermined what your maximum length is ever going to be.
Right.
Okay, got it. All right, well then on that note, my next question is there any way to then elongate that anagen growth? Is there any way to like make, or no?
No. They're probably trying to figure that out, I looked into this because I was curious about how lash serums worked.
Yeah.
Because, your lashes go through the exact same stages, right? And when you're using the lash growth serum, your lashes grow longer.
They do.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's an anagen stimulating product. And I don't have a clear answer on that, but from the most research that I've been able to find was that it isn't about the anagen stage at all. It's about basically the product in the lash serum is actually just really nourishing the follicles on your eyelashes, where we don't pay any attention to our eyelashes.
Right.
We're actually kind of mean to our eyelashes,
Right. Yeah. We don't do anything special for our lashes. So when you feed the extra nutrients, increase circulation, then all of a sudden the lashes are like growing.
They're just happier and they're growing longer.
Exactly. They're just healthier, basically, so they're growing longer. Okay, that makes sense.
From what I know, from what I was able to find.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense. Okay. All right then. So we cannot.
No, we cannot. And there are products out there like minoxidil and finasteride that are FDA approved for hair growth, but those are not affecting the anagen stage of hair growth. That's like Rogaine, like a shampoo that has. So those are actually what those are doing is they're kind of waking up the sleepy, like, the hair follicles that are in the telogen phase that are like taking a little bit too long of a retirement before they come back and regrow a hair.
Okay. So it's kind of like you said, it's there, you're just waking it up with these.
Yeah. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't because it's, everyone's different.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. All right, well, my next question is, what about all these different products that claim they can make your hair grow longer then? Like different products. I know you already talked on those 2 ingredients, but there's tons of products out there promising to let your hair grow longer and stronger and all this stuff. So talk to us about that.
So again, the minoxidil and finasteride, that's not going to make your hair grow longer. It will possibly make it thicker, because it's like waking up the old follicles that haven't been producing any hair. But and those are like actual medications. So, you know, and you can get them over the counter.
Oh, you can.
But I would absolutely look into it before you just like hear me say that and go, oh, minoxidil, putting that on my shopping list.
Okay.
Like, because minoxidil is a topical, and I know now they have like an oral like pill, but anything that you take orally for promoting hair growth, whether it's minoxidil or biotin or collagen, all of those things are going to affect all of the hair on your body.
Not just your head.
Exactly, not just your head.
Got
so
it.
if you're gonna try minoxidil for the first time, I would try like a shampoo that has minoxidil in it. And then like there's like a system that goes with it, and you can't really mix and match your products. Like you have to be pretty strict. But that's more for thickening hair.
So the minoxidil if you want thicker hair.
Exactly.
Now, would you advise our listeners to talk to their
Doctor?
To their doctor or their hairstylist, or like what? What
Yeah,
should they do?
both.
Both? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of hairstylists, they really aren't like, again, it's not something that you really, like you learn about it for like 2 minutes in school, like just like long enough to pass a test.
Yeah.
But if it's not like a passion of yours, or you don't have clients that really are dealing with hair loss and they want to like, you know, whatever, you're probably not having these conversations or like having a lot of motivation to look up these things and learn about them.
Yeah.
So I would say dermatologist is probably the best person to talk to about it.
Dermatologist, okay.
And then to also just kind of get back to your question about the products that claim they grow your hair longer. I mean, there's a lot of products. It's not just, you know, FDA approved medication.
Yeah,
like
over the counter.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's
shampoos
and stuff that like, you know, claim this. They can't make your hair grow longer. The only way to make your hair grow longer is to increase the anagen stage. If it was gonna grow that long.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The only thing that those products can do is they can make it stronger by adding protein and things like that.
Stronger. But if you want it thicker, you'd have to use the minoxidil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then or you can do there are a couple other things that you could do, like to increase the circulation and blood flow to your hair.
Yeah.
So
So
like
like massaging your scalp and stuff like that. Okay. Got it. Wow. Okay. So I think some of us are feeling a little sad right now. If you're like, no wonder my hair only goes to my shoulders, but I mean, honestly, there are so many great like types of wigs now.
Oh my gosh.
That you can wear. Like I have a client that honestly I didn't know for years she was wearing a wig because it looked real. It looked like her hair. So for those of you that can't grow your hair as long as you want, I would totally look into it, right? There's some great companies out there that make great wigs or extensions and things like that. Actually, you do extensions,
I do extensions,
right?
yeah.
So that's another option, you guys. You can look into that as well. Talk to your stylist, and if you're in the Bay Area, Velia is really great with extensions. I've seen some of her work before. I mean, luckily I don't need it.
No, you have a very long anagen phase.
Yeah. So now I know.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I do have one more question for you. So what can we do to give our hair the best chances then? Like, I know we can't increase the anagen phase, but what else can we do personally to maximize the length that we have, or just the strength, or just the health of the hair? What would be like your biggest tips?
Okay, so you know, you were saying that like some of us are sad and whatever. Now everyone has like a personal like maximum length, right? Like, but I'm gonna say that most people are not like living up to their maximum length, you know, if they're trying to, because they're doing things that are making their hair break before the length gets long enough. So there's that. So I'm going to give you a list of do's and don'ts. Give you a list of don'ts first.
Okay. Wait, let me just be sure I understand.
Yeah.
So you're saying people aren't even really allowing the potential of their length because they're doing things to actually prevent it from happening.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us your don't.
So this isn't a list of things that are going to make your hair longer by increasing the anagen phase of the hair, okay? This is a list of things that you're probably doing now that are hurting your chances of even letting your hair grow longer,
Okay.
as long as it will possibly grow
Right.
for you.
Got it.
Okay. So, first of all, if you're somebody who's trying to grow your hair out and you're using a flat iron, you need to retire that flat iron. Just do a little ceremony and wish it farewell.
Okay.
Flat irons are the absolute worst offender for breakage.
Got
Okay.
it. Okay.
And then if you're coloring your hair, if you're going lighter, it's really damaging. So now you really have to start working on like the health of your hair,
health,
right?
yeah.
So if you're highlighting your hair or bleaching your hair and you're also trying to grow your hair longer, I would have you ask yourself, what's more important? I ask my clients this all the time. What's more important, going lighter or longer? Because you really have to choose.
Yeah.
And there's no wrong answer. Some people, and if by asking that question, most people like answer it immediately. Like, oh no, lighter for sure.
Got
Like,
it. Yeah.
I like longer hair, but I definitely want to be lighter.
Right.
So, and then, you know, like we're the priority list,
yeah.
right? Don't put your hair up when it's wet. Your hair is very fragile when it's wet, and it shouldn't be wet all day, so don't try not to put it up. And also it stretches more when it's wet. So if you're pulling it really tight when it's wet, you're actually like when it's contracting as it dries, you're really putting a lot of tension on the follicle and on the hair strand. So don't do that.
Okay.
Stop sleeping with wet hair. For kind of the same reasons. Hair is really fragile when it's wet, and then you're shifting around in your sleep, and it's just no good can come
Disrupting
of it.
the cuticle.
Yeah, exactly. You're disrupting the cuticle. And also something you probably never thought of, don't starve yourself. I see it all the time with people who are on diets. Your hair, again, really, it feeds on blood flow. So you have to make sure that you're treating it really well by allowing like the proper nutrition and blood flow to nourish it from the inside.
Sure.
So if you're starving yourself, you are not getting the nutrition, and the hair is going to fall out, or it's just not going to be as strong as it grows in.
Okay.
Okay, so those are like the finger wagging, like you know.
If you're trying to grow it out maximum length, those were the don'ts.
So here's the do's. Okay, these are the things you can actually start doing like right now. Massage your scalp. Doesn't have to be like 30 minutes a day. Just massage your scalp. If you want longer hair, massaging your scalp is going to increase the blood flow and circulation, and it will help. But you do have to do it kind of like every day, but maybe for like 5 minutes. Okay, and it could be like a real like vigorous massage. You could even just like do like little tapping motions on your scalp. Okay, so massaging your scalp, brushing your hair. So most people don't brush their hair. Like it used to be like, you know, in every like 1950s movie, like it's like 972, 973.
It's a nightly ritual.
Exactly. And what that does is it also increases the blood flow to your scalp, and it also takes off like all of the dead skin on your scalp that could be clogging the follicle.
Right.
And any kind of buildup of product or whatever. Which brings me to my next thing is keeping your scalp clean.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a healthy environment for hair to grow, your scalp cannot be clogged. It's so important. And talk to your hairstylist. If you don't have one that you trust, ask me for like what the proper routine would be for you. Okay, another thing is trimming your split ends every 3 to 6 months. So normally I would recommend like a maintenance haircut would be like 6 weeks or so. But if you're trying to grow your hair longer, you don't want to just cut off all the anything that's been gained, you know, any length that's been gained. So, but you do want to trim, you know, like 1/4 of an inch of those like split ends, or really, really dry ends that are about to start splitting every 3 to 6 months.
3 to 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
That way you're not just cutting off all the length that you just accumulated. Okay. And then try to go 2 to 3 days between washes, which means that you're going to have to wash your hair really well on the days that you do wash it. So double wash. I talk about this all the time. and even use like a scalp scrub to keep your scalp really, really clean. And kind of like a little bonus tip, I would say, depending on your hair, if you have really curly hair and your routine is to air dry, that's fine. But if you don't, I would recommend blow drying your hair so you don't get bored and your hair doesn't look like, you're not tempted to like use a curling iron and stuff on it. Using a blow dryer and a brush is always the best way to style. 2 more things. Use a silk or satin pillowcase or bonnet to sleep in, because then that, when you're sleeping and you're moving your head around, the friction will cause split ends, and if you have split ends, it'll cause them to like stay lifted and get worse. Okay, and then here are 4 products, like actual hair products that everybody needs.
Oh, okay.
Even if you're not trying to grow your hair, but if you are trying to grow your hair, you cannot afford to not have these 4 products.
Okay.
Okay, and these are Velia Beauty Co. products because that's my line, and I can very safely recommend these to all people with all different hair types.
Right.
One is the Beaches Be Salty Scalp Scrub. Okay, I mentioned that a little bit ago.
Yeah.
And that is gonna be, that's a concentrate you add to your shampoo, and that just really keeps your scalp like stimulated and very clean.
Okay.
Then when you're out of the shower, Act Natural is a leave-in conditioner. That's gonna protect your ends and lock in the moisture. Every time you wash your hair, you wanna use that. And then Liquid Amethyst is a shine serum, and that will also add moisture to your ends. You use that every single day on either wet hair or on dry hair. And that's gonna help hold in the moisture on the ends. It's so important to keep those ends healthy and happy. And then the 4th thing is Damage Control, which is a deep conditioning mask. Well, the deep conditioning masks are absolutely essential when you're trying to grow your hair, because your hair is going to lose moisture, and it's going to need that extra protein and moisture, and Damage Control has both protein and moisture.
And that's the cream, right?
That's the deep conditioning mask.
Oh, it's a mask.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
All right. Sorry, I know that was a lot.
No, that was good. And then we'll put them in the show notes too.
Yes,
with
with
a link so that you could just go ahead and order it.
Yeah.
And I do. I use everything she just said. I haven't done the scalp one in a long time though, so I'm definitely gonna have to throw that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the amethyst is great for when it's starting to look pretty dry and brittle. So, okay, awesome. Well, now we're going to grab a question from one of our listeners, and today it's Brenna from San Jose. Her question is, do the brushes with the red light therapy and massage bristles actually make your hair grow?
You know what? Yeah, they could. Assuming 2 things. The massage part of it stimulates hair growth, stimulates blood flow, which then will stimulate new hair to grow. Assuming that the massage bristles are not like getting tangled up in your hair and like pulling your hair or anything like that. So yes, the massage, yes. Red light's a big like trend right now.
Big trend for hair and skin.
And
right now.
and red light, it does penetrate deeply and will stimulate your scalp, stimulate blood flow and circulation. It's all about blood flow and circulation. I don't know how many times I've said those 2 things today. Assuming that the tool that you're using has like the proper, wavelength of red light. Exactly.
Yeah.
It can't hurt. I mean, worst thing that could happen is nothing, I guess. It's just like a little warm.
Yeah.
But you don't need a tool. You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on a tool. Just, you have fingers, use your fingers and brush your hair. If you would rather not massage your head, just brush your hair.
I was going to say, like, could the brushing replace the massaging?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It
All
does.
right.
As long as you're just doing it consistently.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, gosh, I had no idea, you guys. This was amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
For all the tips, and we'll add all that into the show notes as well. And we just wanted to say thank you guys for joining us every week. We hope you find you're learning things from us and you're enjoying all the topics that we have. But please, if you have any questions, or if there's a topic that we haven't covered yet, please leave in the comments. Let us know what you want to hear about for future episodes. So that's all the time we have today. We so appreciate you guys coming back every week. If you like what you see, please share, like, and subscribe. I'm Monina.
And I'm Velia.
Until next time,
Keep experimenting with your beauty routine.